Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. The issue of constitutional reform is back on the front burner following the recent appointment of a Constitutional Reform Committee by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. We have with us today Dr. Terrance Farrell, economist, banker, lawyer, author, and for the purposes of today's discussion, a member of the Constitution Committee. Dr. Farrell, welcome to the set.
Thank you very much, Neil. Good to be here.
Good to have you. Begin by telling us what is the Constitution and what is the importance of having this Constitution reviewed?
Well, the Constitution is the country's supreme law. I mean, I think most people are familiar with the fact that we have laws about various kinds of things, about property and about crime and so on and so forth. But the Constitution is the supreme law. It is set up to essentially to distribute the power in the society. That power is usually distributed among what are called the three branches of the state. The one that we are most familiar with, of course, is the executive, which is the prime minister and the cabinet, the ministers, and so on. They have what is called executive power. Then, of course, you have the parliament, which is the representative of the people. The parliament makes the laws which the executive is supposed to carry out. And then the third branch of government is called the judiciary, which is comprised of the judges, the High Court, the Appeal Court, and currently the Privy Council. So what a constitution does is that essentially it distributes power among those three branches of government. But it also does something that's also very important in that it actually articulates what our society is about. It speaks to who we are, and it speaks to what we as a nation aspire to be. Mm-hmm. So if you look, for example, at the preamble of the Constitution, if you look at how the Constitution actually distributes that power, it tells us something about ourselves. It tells us who we are as a people. So it's extremely important. And the impetus for reform that we're talking about comes about because right now, the Constitution that we have in place is the 1976 Republican Constitution. That Constitution essentially moved us from having a Governor General as head of state to the President as head of state. It made some other changes as well. It took some powers away from the Prime Minister and gave those powers to the President. But basically, that 76 Constitution looks very much like the 1962 Independence Constitution. So one of the things that we've been saying to people is that we, in fact, in Trinidad and Tobago are living with a constitution, a set of arrangements for the distribution of power that was set up by the British for us in 1962. Mm-hmm. And here we are in 2024, and a lot has happened in the society, in the polity, in the economy, and since then. And so therefore, these are some of the reasons why we feel that there is a need for change to the Constitution.
And we've heard that a Constitution is a living, breathing document,
yes,
and therefore must reflect the changing nature of society.
Correct, yes. That's right.
There is a meeting scheduled for ARIMA this evening, and I know that the committee has been having meetings throughout.
Yes.
What are you hearing in those meetings? What is John Public saying that needs to be changed in our Constitution?
Well, we're having the town hall meetings, of course. We are meeting in all of the 14 regional corporation districts, as well as we're having 2 meetings in Tobago. So we have the town halls, but we are using modern technology. So unlike the Wooding Commission in 1972-74, which had to go out to the population, there was no internet, there was no social media. We had one television station, 2 radio stations. Today we have all of that media available to the internet, email, and so on. So people have been sending in their recommendations to us via email. We've received hundreds of email submissions from the population. But we also decided to go out to the town halls to speak to people where they are so that they can articulate some of their views. I think I'm very safe in saying, having looked at the submissions and been to the town halls, that people really are looking for some significant changes. They are seeing that there's a need, for example, in respect of the presidency, that they would like to see a president that is put in that position in a different manner. They are looking for an elected president. People are talking about proportional representation, which is the same conversation that they had back in the day with Wooding. They're talking about the right to recall their representatives. They're talking about a fixed date for elections. And all of that seems to me to suggest that what people are asking for is that they want to have a greater say in how the government is run. They want to have a greater say in how Parliament is run. People are also asking for referendum. So all of that is saying to me that people want the society to become really more democratic. and they want to have a parliament that is more responsible, that is more responsive to their needs.
But it seems then that they're only speaking to one part of the power, of the triumvirate that you spoke of, the parliament. What is happening with the rest? So the judiciary, for instance, are there any recommendations being made?
Yes, people are very concerned. Well, people aren't making recommendations so much, but people are expressing a concern about, for example, the delays in the judiciary. People are expressing a concern about the fact that you have people who are on remand for 5, 6, 10 years, unable to get to a trial. They don't necessarily know what the answer to that is. So part of our remit as a committee is to kind of look for what some of the solutions are to kind of resolve that particular issue. So people are expressing those concerns about the judiciary. There is the ongoing debate, for example, about the Privy Council as our apex court. And on the executive, I think that people really are trying to say in so many words that they want to have prime ministerial power that is more, how should I put it, more accountable. They want that the institutions that we have report to Parliament. They want to have people to have, there must be consequences when people don't do what they are supposed to do. So those are some of the kinds of things that we've been hearing from the population.
And it seems to me then that you're getting a lot of submissions. You have a lot of email submissions. The media reports are telling us a different story about the apathy in terms of the numbers of persons attending the consultations.
I'm not at all surprised at the numbers attending the consultations, tell you the truth, because, number one, people do have the access through the emails to send stuff to us, and they're making very good use of that. Secondly, we have had the turnout at the town hall meeting has been variable. For example, in San Fernando, we had an excellent meeting on Monday. There were about 50 people there. And it's not so much the numbers of people, it's about the quality of the submissions that we are getting from them. We were in Princestown on Wednesday. We had maybe about 17 people, but again, the quality of the submissions, people are articulating what they see to be some of the things that they need. So we are not too concerned about that. In Tobago East, we had about 25 people. This is in Bell Garden area and so on. Again, the quality of the submissions really, really quite excellent. So for us, the town halls are an opportunity for people to actually come out and articulate and express in greater detail some of the things that they would like to see.
But given the fact that the Parliament meets regularly and the Parliament does amend the Constitution, most of the bills that come to the Parliament are in fact effecting changes to the Constitution. What is the difference between that and what is being proposed now? Well,
actually, there haven't been very many amendments to the Constitution itself since 1976. We had the Crossing of the Floor Act, which was agreed to between Eric Williams and I think Bazir Pandey at the time, and that was to deal with their own internal party issues. We had the more recent change with the Police Service Commission, that the method by which the Commissioner of Police was selected and so on, which I think most people are recognizing now was a very bad idea. Yeah. And I think there's an amendment going to Parliament this week to try to change that. But apart from that, there haven't been very many changes to the Constitution itself, because the Constitution is really very hard to change. There are many entrenched clauses in the Constitution, and so therefore, if you wanted to change those, you needed to get a 2/3 majority or a 3/5 majority in the case of changes to infringing of rights. So therefore, we haven't had many constitutional amendments affecting the Constitution per se. But what we're looking at in terms of the reform record looks at the Constitution as a whole. And one of the things that I've been pointing out to people, for example, the preamble, and it only kind of struck me the other day when I was looking at the preamble. Our preamble is written in the third person. It is written as if somebody else is talking about us. And that's not how a constitution is supposed to be done. A constitution is about us as a people speaking about ourselves. And the American Constitution, we the people. And so therefore our preamble needs to start in that way. It says, we the people, this is how we are, this is how we want to be, and so on. And that kind of struck me, because it kind of emphasized the point that the Constitution that we have really is a colonial construct.
And the argument, of course, is that one word, we, is the most significant part of the Constitution.
Precisely.
What next? What are the next steps for you?
Well, we continue with the town hall meetings into early May. So I said we are covering all of all 14 regional corporations and Tobago. We basically stopped the email submissions But we continue to get submissions that are coming in from people that, for example, we invited all the constitutional office holders, the Chief Justice, the Ombudsman, all of those people. We've invited the business organizations, the trade unions, and so on to send in submissions to us, and we expect those to be fairly substantive submissions. So our process will be to kind of begin the process of looking at that. We have a target of the end of May to essentially to produce our what is described as a working document. The idea is that that working document will go into a conference, or what I describe as a constituent assembly, where you bring the entire population together, or delegates from the population, to consider what has been proposed and then to tell Parliament what we would like to see.
And when it gets to that point where we have some things, actual things to consider, we'll invite you back to tell us to share a little bit more.
I'd love to. I would certainly love that opportunity.
Dr. Farrell, thanks very much for joining us.
Not at all, Neil.
It's been a pleasure.
Indeed, good to be here.